and welcome to the Bookkeepers Podcast. I'm Zoe Whitman. I'm here with Joe Wood, and we're joined by our friend Jasper Steinhausen today. Hey Jasper, how are you?
Hello, Zoe and Joey. Good to see you, and I'm doing really well, thank you.
Good. We're really excited to have a chat with Jasper. We're going to talk about impact, building a business with purpose, and we had actually, do you know what? I wasn't even part of the conversation, so maybe Joe will do that. Joe had a great conversation with Jasper that got us thinking about our purpose, and we want to share that with you and talk more about how you can do that in your business. But Jasper, would you like to start by telling us a bit about your background and what you do, please?
Oh yes, of course. Well, I have a company called A Business with Impact. I'm a leadership consultant, and my specialty is to make sustainability profitable. So I've been working in this space for a very long time. I've basically been in sustainability all my life, and I especially focus on small and medium-sized businesses in the manufacturing space to help them figure out how can I work with this sort of green transition or whatever label you want to put on it, in a way that's, really utilizes the opportunity here to gain a lot on the business side, as well as making a lot of impact.
It's fascinating that, some people, we all start businesses for different reasons. And a lot of the time when we start a business, it's through necessity. Something about our work isn't working for us, and we pull on the skills that we have to create income. But to have a business that serves a bigger purpose is so fulfilling and lovely. But is that possible for everybody? Can everybody have a business that serves a purpose?
I would say yes, because the thing is that what I really like is when you find a way where you get full alignment between the owner, founder, or leadership team, depending on the sort of owner structure, and then the business's abilities and strength to really make an impact in that area. When you do that, it becomes really, really powerful, and then almost endless will of energy to extract from. And I think all areas can do that, but then sometimes you see that, the link is perhaps slightly weaker, but you still add a purpose, but it's not sort of fully aligned with what you do, but it's, it's still connected to it. So I think any business can find a bigger purpose to serve, something that goes beyond themselves. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, and I think that when I originally thought about purpose and the conversation that we had, I think it's separating, am I selling something that has purpose, I don't know, very clearly related to the problem you're trying to solve, or is my business as part of the way I deliver what I do, or as a byproduct, or just behind the scenes as part of our process, we do something that contributes to something good. I don't think we realized that we could do this in the way that we have. So Joe, I wonder if you guys could tell us a bit about the story of when you two met and the conversation you had about purpose, because it really, I quote it to people all the time, but I want to hear it from you two.
Well, me and Jasper met because we were going skiing in Italy, which sounds very luxurious, doesn't it? And it was lovely. But we had a very mountainous journey up to the ski resort, and I get really travel sick. So I had to sit at the front, and I just happened to sit next to Jasper, and we didn't know each other, complete strangers at the time. We all knew that the purpose that we were going for was to connect with other entrepreneurs, get a bit of skiing in, learn some things along the way, but have some great conversations. I didn't expect that all to happen on the trip to the resort. I thought it would happen, maybe day 2 or 3. And we had a great chat on the way up, and Jasper kind of very easy breezy. Oh, why do you do what you do? And I think we get asked that question a lot, and usually people accept your answer, but not Jasper. He was like, yeah, I don't think that's why you do it. And I was like, oh, is it not? I really thought that's why I did it. I thought that I was doing this and helping bookkeepers to run better businesses, so that small business owners that were being served by a great bookkeeper would build better businesses, and we would like have a massive impact on the economy. That's what I thought it was. And Jasper went, no, I don't think it is. I think you need to think a bit deeper about that. And I was like, oh, okay. And you just didn't. And I was like, I don't know what the answer is. I really thought, I'm not telling a fib. And he said, no, you're not lying to me. We haven't really got to the root cause. And then we started talking more about, well, who does that impact? What you're doing. And I was
Your
like,
life, right? I remember asking questions about your own sort of upbringing and why you started the business, right? And you started telling these stories about your own background and you remember your parents were working really hard as well, and that's, I think that goes for both of you. So you started to sort of get into something about why this was actually important from you on a personal level.
Yeah, because if money's tough at home, for whatever reason, then that does impact your upbringing. It has a massive effect on you when you're young, and you think, wow, everything would be so much easier if there was a bit more money around. And then we started thinking about, well, really what we're doing this for is the children of the entrepreneurs that are being served. We want children to be happier, because if children are happy and healthy and everything's okay at home, obviously by default the parents tend to be. So it's really impacting. And then when you think, and I was thinking about why I work so hard is for my children. And then we were thinking, well, how do we have a bigger impact on the children? Which we just hadn't really got that deep before. And then it opened up a conversation for Zoe and I about why because obviously we're partners and we run the same business, but it doesn't mean that our purpose is 100% exactly the same, because we've had our own different lives, and we might have, of course we've got a vision and we've got similar values and things like that, but we are individual. So, and Zoe, you like said about you and your life and things like that, and you wanted to have an impact on children too, because money was tough.
Yeah, I think I said this to someone yesterday, actually. Like personally, my mum's a single mum, brought us up on her own. It was hard, like I struggled with her mental health as well. So holding down any kind of job was hard. So she'd do all the things of the 80s and 90s that we think of as home-based mum businesses, like selling Avon and like delivering like leaflets and Betterware catalogue, all of that kind of stuff, if anyone remembers all those things. And actually she wasn't allowed to do that because she was receiving benefits, and then that became a problem. And I was like, why is it so hard? And actually, like, even looking today, I know there'll be people watching this who are mums working at home around their children, single parents, not single parents, whatever, and you don't have the same ability to work when you've had a family. Depends on your situation and who you've got around you and childcare and all of those kind of things. But often people aren't with their extended family. They don't have the support network. It's very hard to make work. And if you try and do something off your own back, it isn't as easy as you would think it's going to be. And I'm like, why has this not changed? Like, it's 2024. Why is this not different? Why it actually feels as hard as I think my mum was experiencing it. So we got to do something about that. But you said, Joe, just now, we work together as a partnership, and of course we've got a vision and goals and but there was a time we didn't. And I would say also for many business owners, we don't have that. And I think that foundational work is like, it's hard to know what your purpose is and what your vision is and get all those things to match up if you haven't ever really thought about it before, which is why it's so great to talk to you, Jasper, because you just got this great way of asking the right questions.
But I was just gonna, if I can interrupt for a second, because just listening to how you tell it, and I would just really actually encourage everybody listening in here to just rewind back a second and feel like, did you feel a difference? I had goosebumps when you started talking about how you could impact children, but I had nothing of the like when you said we were helping lots of businesses make money.
Yeah,
it's the same thing we're doing.
Yeah.
But if the cause is to help, because we people relate to other living things, we don't relate to dead things like money and businesses. A legal entity doesn't mean anything. It doesn't connect to anything except for the owners and those perhaps working there. So when you tell, hey, I help thousands of businesses make a ton of money, well, great. When you say, like, I help thousands of children live a better life because their parents has a more fulfilling business that works better, more automated, they have more time for me, I have more time with my parents. Now, just me saying this gives me chills again, right? And the other thing, it's completely dead. It doesn't make any sense, right? So when you ask if anybody can make, can create, in your opening question, right? Can anybody have it? I bet you could find lots of people if you just ask them on the street. Is there a direct connection between a company that helps bookkeepers become better at what they do, and helping give children get a better upbringing and a better life? I bet a lot of people will think, I don't think so. I can't see it, right? So right there is actually a good example. You are yourself a prime example of that. You can find that if you drill a bit, you can actually find down to something that becomes far more valuable, that North Star, than when you're about to make choices. Are we going this way or this way? Is this opportunity interesting or not? Should we create such a product or not? Should we sponsor and partner with these or not? Whatever it is. Well, you have an anger now, right? Does this make sense to make children's lives better? If so, it's meaningful. If not, well, you should think twice. Right?
And then we're numbers people. So then we were like, okay, well, where's the data? How are we going to know if we've impacted? How are we going to measure our impact? We can't just say this and put it out there and just, we want to actually move the needle. So Zoe, you did some research and you found out more about the charity, the B1G1 like cause. Do you want to tell us a bit about that and how we've implemented that so that we can keep an eye on the numbers?
Oh yeah, I don't know if you know much about what we've done, Jasper, but after that conversation, and we were like, okay, well that works in terms of knowing what the impact is and how we build that into the work we do. We need to find a way, make it really tangible. And so I don't know where this came from. We decided we try and positively impact 1 million children in poverty. I don't know where the number 1 million came from. Probably involved Aperol Spritz.
It's a nice round number. Yeah.
Yeah. But we did partner with B1G1, and we're going to try and catch up with them on the Bookkeepers podcast soon. So when there is an episode, we'll link it to this one. But they have work that they do around the UN goals. There are some global goals the UN measures, and all of their projects are tied to those. So there are things that we can do, like through our courses. If you're on some of our particular programs, or if you're in our membership, we will at certain points make contributions to pay for a woman to do a bookkeeping course. It's someone in a country where there isn't the same sort of funding as here, there aren't the resources, somewhere in the third world perhaps, will contribute to pay for that course, or will pay for shelter or food or things for schools and things like that. But that we were really looking for those projects. I mean, there's obviously all projects like that have an impact on something else like community or gender equality or good well-being and things, but we were really looking for those no poverty related stats that we could measure. And it's all on our website. So we have it on the website. Apparently, I was just looking at the numbers actually, we've made 442 impacts on the UN's no poverty goal so far. But overall, there's 1,021 impacts to date that we've made, which is really good going, isn't it? Just from having this conversation, Jasper. So you changed how we think about our business. So thank you for that.
No, you're so welcome. Thank you for bringing it forward, because one thing is to have a good conversation in a bus in this case, but it could have been anywhere. Another thing is actually to act on it, because ideas are worthless on their own. It's implementation that makes all the difference. So, but I have a question for you. I know you're supposed to ask me the question, but now I got curious on the back of what you just said. So because B1G1 is that what I would call indirect impact, right? So you do your business the way you like. I mean, and then somehow you channel some funding to that, and they support different projects that make a difference somewhere, right?
Mhm.
But I also seen companies that do that in a not so fantastic way, because they keep running a business that's actually bad for the world, and then they pay money to make it slightly less worse through B1 G1. So
Yeah.
there are lots of opportunities, because that's where you all started, right? You are helping people that run the bookkeepers, right? Your core clients. So what are the what kind of opportunities do you see for measurably making a difference more directly, and how are you doing that?
Well, do you know what? We had a really great conversation yesterday about the way we deliver our programs, and so these giving goals are built in. So at various points, you'll say, "Hey, would you like to contribute to something?" People click the button, we make a contribution on their behalf, and we've sort of thought about what can we do directly, and there are, if you think about the programs that we offer. If you think of them in different tiers, there is very much a free tier, and there is a lot of work we're doing, like this conversation here. If you're watching this, you'll be learning something about how your business can make an impact. You can get a free copy of the Bookkeeper Rises, which is our book about starting a bookkeeping practice. We're going to make the audio version of that available for free as well. So you'll be able to listen to that on YouTube or on Spotify, probably by the end of September at the latest, September 2024. So there are things we do which are sort of much more direct, but of course there's always more. Like, we could go into schools and teach, like, give people that kind of support. The challenge is, everyone listening to this, if your business doesn't make money, because we all want to help in some way, and we speak to so many bookkeepers who are like, well, I'll volunteer for this, I'll go and join this, I'll become the treasurer at school. But the real problem is, if we don't make our own businesses financially successful, we haven't got the energy to go and do the other things, or the things that we want to do for free, because we can't.
I gotta stop you here, because I think, if I may, that what you're doing now is you are separating impact from business, and that's not at all necessary. That's the core of what I do, is helping integrate the two, right? It's why my company is called Business with Impact. It's not make a lot of business and go out and spend a lot of time helping others for free. That was not my name of the company, right? So every time you serve a bookkeeper, help them run a more efficient business, de facto, you are helping them release the stress they have in their life. Thereby, if they are parents, obviously not if they aren't, but most would probably be, you are helping. So for every client you have that succeed in any way, you actually release the tension and stress. That's sort of the foundational idea about how you're helping.
Okay.
So just look at your numbers. The numbers of people that you help succeed, that's your direct impact. That's the fun stuff. That's the big impact. And that's just around the corner, right? It's not through somebody somewhere else in the world, which is also very important. But these are the bookkeepers around the corner, right? You might even meet them in a coffee shop on a Sunday.
Yeah, we're underestimating ourselves, Jasper. Thank you for that. It is that. It's that we forget about the people we speak to every day.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think sometimes you feel like you're not doing enough, but actually the core of our business is doing exactly, helping the children of the bookkeepers, but also when we help our bookkeepers to run better businesses, and then they help other entrepreneurs by offering good services. It's like a ripple effect, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we've just added an extra ripple pour with the B1G1, but actually what we do at the core is already doing that.
And that's why there is a full alignment between what you want to do and the way you run your business.
Yeah.
You just kind of forgot it and started working away on everything that's sort of on the upskirt. That's sort of the cream on top of the cake, right? It's the icing. But you actually don't forget the cake. That's the key thing here, right? And actually, what you might have to do, or you could consider, there's just an idea that came to me when talking, is that, helping, speaking out loudly with your clients on, remember them that, well, when the tension eases off because your business starts being better, remember to use that wisely. Most people, I don't know, it depends on religion, of course, but we tend to think, I think we only live once, so spend it wisely. Right? So if you're starting to feel like your business is getting better and simpler and easier because you're implementing the practices you learned from you guys, if that gives you an opportunity to spend more time or give a better conditions for your children to do that, perhaps you should flag that a little bit. So every time you help people celebrate by that now their business has improved, right? You could also have around, how do you use that? What are you going to use that extra freedom to? How are you going to translate that? Of course, they can go anywhere with it that they like. But I think some would actually love that slight little push, remembering that just because now things are better doesn't mean that I just have to go bigger or go, or spend it all on buying a new car or something. Perhaps you should just spend it on being more present with your kids.
Yes, I love that. It's those like, actually, we're not great at doing this, are we? Taking the step back and then seeing those like marginal improvements. Like, I was just thinking then, Jasper, what I hadn't realised is, of course, by being self-employed here, I've also made the future better for my own kids. So, we're not even noticing those things that are so close to home because we're always beating ourselves up for, I'm not doing enough, I need to do more. And it's just clear that we do that too. So thank you for that. So your business is obviously all about purpose and impact. If you are listening to this and you're thinking, for somebody who's listening to this conversation and thinking, I don't really know, I just want to earn a living, how would you help them to connect with their own purpose?
Well, doing it completely on your own can be a bit of a challenge. But there are various sort of methods and books for it. I remember the first time I went through the exercise, I asked a friend I have, a guy that I know from my biking club. So we cycle together, and he also had a business, and he ran his own. And I just asked him if he would help me out on this. And I think, if I remember correctly, it was from Simon Sinek. He has a book and a recipe for it, Finding Your Why. And I went through that, did the preparation, and then I met with him for, I think we spent a couple of hours where, I've sort of, from the book, that was like the method, these are the questions to ask, right? And just probe a bit. And so I think that was the first time around that I sort of experimented with trying to find that for myself in a sort of really conscious way. And then I've been through a couple of rounds with a professional helping me do that over the years, also to clarify and be able to articulate it more clearly, right? So I think you can start at various levels, as you say, if it's like, okay, how do I get started? And I just need, this sounds kind of interesting, perhaps there's something in it. You could start somewhere as simple as Google Simon Sinek, start with why.
I was going to say, he's got a YouTube video that I have watched, which kind of is like the TED talk around, starting with your why, and it explains like why it's important to have this. And because I think people think it might be a bit wishy-washy and, we just got to do it to pay the bills. Like, of course, it's to make money, but actually, when you dig a bit deeper, and then when you connect with that, it makes everything feel so much easier. And you said that earlier about the fact it's a bit like another YouTube video I've watched, like, will it make the boat go faster? If you've got a target and you know where you're heading and you know why you're heading there, it's very much easier to say no to things that don't get you closer to that and yes to things that will get you closer to that. But otherwise, if we don't have that, it's a bit like getting in a car and using a sat nav but not putting in the destination. You just blindly driving round roundabouts and not going anywhere, and not going not in the right direction because you haven't given yourself one. So I would definitely invite people to go and just take a look. Simon Sinek is Sinek, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. But actually, you know, if you feel like, well, purpose, why should I do that? Is that at all important? You know, purpose is the closest thing you can get to a permanent tailwind in your business, right? Because the thing is, as I also mentioned before, nobody has, you know, really strong feelings and connections to dead things, objects. We do have inherent, and we're hardwired to it. So it's nothing to do with who people are. It's just how we are by nature, to connect and support living things, systems. So it doesn't really matter what it is you connect to, but the second you connect your business to something bigger, like, you know, helping poor children or fighting climate change or animals or whatever it is, doesn't really matter whatever it is, as long as it's something that you connect to yourself. And then if you do that, then you will know you're in the right space. There will be a certain proportion of any group of people who share that, right? So this, just by going out and flagging, you know, for instance, let's take something everybody can relate to and everybody knows a little bit about, climate change. So if you have a company that says, you know, I'm here to help reverse climate change, end the climate crisis and all the pain that it afflicts on people. And we do that even though we are a furniture company or whatever, right? It doesn't matter what they are. Just like you guys, there is a connection. It might not be that you know it from the get-go, but you can get it if you hear it. So if this is your thing, if you feel like frustrated or fearful of every time you experience that we now have the hottest again, or the coldest, or the wettest, or the most stormy, or the whatever it is, wicked climate thing and weather condition around us, and then you hear about this company that really are pushing for it, and they sell chairs. If you ever need a chair, or if you know somebody who will need a chair, you will say, hey, you should look at these guys, right? Because they are really on the right team. They are fighting to try to get us out of this mess that we've got ourselves in. Or, you know, they also help to end poverty for children and whatever it is, right? So it's that sort of way to get on the short list of far more people simply because they're cheering on the same thing as you are. And then from there on, obviously your product got to stand the test, and you got to be good enough, and your pricing and everything. So it's not the winning formula, but it's the winning formula to get to the final, right? It's a short list. It's the fast track to short list.
Yeah, it helps you connect with the right people who share the same values and who want to work with people who share the same values. And
they want to see you succeed, even though they're not thinking, I can work with you because I might not need your service at all. But if I know anybody who does, I would say you should look at them, right? Because I would want to see you succeed, because if you succeed, you minimize the problem that I think should be minimized.
Nice. Yeah. And as a service provider, and you're a service provider, Jasper, how do you build impact into your business? Like, just thinking from a very different industry, because I think we've demonstrated what we do, but just for people watching this who are just thinking, what else can I do? What haven't I thought about?
Yeah. Well, the thing is that I am almost only focusing on the direct, which is kind of why it was kind of interesting to hear all the stuff you've been doing on the indirect, right? So I don't have any products or any services or anything that does not push a company forward towards becoming part of a solution. So I only work with companies that want that, and everything I do is to help transform their understanding of this. The only thing you could say that I do, but it's still part of what I do, but that I sometimes do without pay, is all the stuff. It's giving presentations, and then I have a ton of stuff that I give away, right? Just like you guys. So newsletters, articles, and videos, and podcasts, and I have my own podcast, and I'm guesting, and all of that. So offering lots and lots and lots and lots of advice for what you could do and make a lot of people, giving sort of what I call the mental transformation, changing their understanding of connection between sustainability and business, and make people understand how it actually works. So I do a lot on that, but I also do it for paid. So it's the same service that I just, in some regards or in smaller portions or whatever, offer away, depending on if it's, how tailored it needs to be. So I think that's the core of what I do. And then of course how I live, but I think that's like a ton of other people that are cautious about it.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. And I think, like, if you're a bookkeeper, I mean, there are people in our community who are sustainable bookkeepers, like everything about what they do shouts about that, and it must make it easier for their clients to recognize them as the right person to work with. It's completely what you've just said. And then we have other bookkeepers who work with charities, and they've said, these are my clients, and that helps them to go and find. And I'm sure within those niches there are then particular types of charity that serve particular types of causes. Now, obviously, that isn't the way everyone's going to want to build their business, but there will be other reasons that you want to serve the kind of clients that you want to serve.
And especially for your clients, right? I think there's something really interesting, because bookkeepers, you have a chance to be fire starters of all your clients' journey into sustainability in a very, very tangible way, right? For two reasons. One is, by definition, you run the numbers. So you have insights to where are the bigger cost centers, both upstream and downstream. And two, because you run the numbers, you have the attention of the upper management, right? So, if I were in your shoes, whenever I had a client, I would look, and I did the numbers anyway, right? I'll just circle in. Okay, so sort of like from an 80-20 perspective, right? So let's just say on the upstream side, so the cost related to buying raw materials in any form and shape, to make the product, or energy and water and whatever, right? Circle in the 20% that takes up 80% of the cost. And do the same on the downstream, right? Of course, there's the product, but there's also a ton of stuff that does not end as a product. So what are the biggest costs for waste management companies that come and pick up stuff from you? Just present these two, right? Say, hey, have you thought about the fact that you use £1 million on these three materials, and you actually also use 155,782 pounds on having somebody come and pick up some of that stuff you bought over here, but did not manage to utilize to a product that you sold? Isn't that weird? Wouldn't it be worth investigating why all of these high expensive resources up here is something you pay somebody to get rid of? Doesn't that represent, I mean, imagine if you could take it down 50,000 there, you will also take away 50,000 there. It means you will earn 100,000 if you can do that. Would that be worth considering? What would it take to discover? Just ask simple, direct questions. You don't need to be a specialist in anything around that. You can just ask simple questions around it to sort of kickstart and open their eyes. Because the problem is that every business leader, basically, right, without a few that has somehow figured out that this is interesting by themselves, but what they've been taught is that, okay, you have an idea, you find the resources you need to make it into a product or whatever it is you offer, and you sell it. And then you have a top line, you have a bottom line, right? And you want that margin to be big enough between total cost and sales price. And they're actually controlling most of the business on that, right? So if costs go up, well, if I can put that cost on top of the price, it's okay. Because what I care about is the size of this, not necessarily the actual cost, the relative cost. It's just the size. And everything that's sort of below there is, in their training, it's basically filed under cost of operations. And they don't really know what it's inside. and they don't care too much as long as the margin is big enough, right? So if you come in and help them to gain curious about, why are you throwing away so much money? What do you mean? Well, these are the numbers. It's not just that I'm saying, I can just see that, material A, B, and C to supply blah, blah, blah. And down here, and as I can see it, is money out the window.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a really, and that we all need to be better at that, don't we? We need to be observant. That's actually where we add the most value to our clients, asking those questions, challenging them. Like we talk often to our clients about becoming the FD in your client's business. This is how you do that. You notice things.
Exactly, right? And imagine what it would do. Exactly. And what's going to be the response from their client? Well,
they're going to be happy. They're going to be like, thank you. Yeah, thank you for showing this to me. I say this all the time. Bookkeepers look at records and they notice things and they see things and they think, oh, that's odd or whatever. But they sometimes don't have the confidence to go and have a chat with the client about it. But that is where the magic happens. And like you said, you don't have to be the expert. You don't have to have the answer. You don't have to say, oh, you're getting rid of this waste. What you need to do is this, this, and this. You don't need to do that. You just need to say, isn't this interesting? Maybe you could look into it. You don't have to run the business.
You can point them to me if you want to have the answer, but their role is to kickstart, right? It's the fire starter. And again, if somebody wants a higher purpose, well, there it is, right? You could have that saying, well, my purpose is to kickstart all my clients' journey into becoming a better business, right? A more sustainable run business, a force for good company, or however they want to frame it, right? But basically, you can do that without acquiring much new knowledge. They might need a bit of a vocabulary around it, but basically, you can just do it, and you will help them make a ton of money. And because they will love you, you will have a bigger client loyalty, and they will probably also refer you to something. So it's going to grow their business, and it's also going to grow their client's business, and it's going to have a positive impact on the world, right? So it's about making business with embedded environmental impact. That's where the fun happens. That's the magic.
Oh, thank you so much. We've learned so much. Like, you always get us to think differently about what we do as well. So thank you for the perspective. Jasper, how can people connect with you and find out more about what you do?
Well, the easiest thing, actually, you can have a small gift if they like, any of you listening to this. So it's pretty simple. All you got to do is go into the website called www.bwimpact.com/more impact. Right? So if you go in there are 3 gifts. You can choose which one you like. And in there, you can also get contact details and LinkedIn and all of that. But just go in there. And one of them is actually the book. So this Making Sustainability Profitable. And in there, you can just grab chapter 3. That's the whole mindset part. That's everything you need if you want to continue the idea that I gave. How do I speak about this in a different way? So actually, if they want, they can just grab that for free. Go to chapter 3, and then they're actually good to go on that idea. Then they can just start.
I love that. Thank you. That's really generous. Thank you, Jasper, so much. And thank you, everyone who's tuned in today. We're going to be back next week for another episode of the Bookkeepers Podcast. And we'll see you there. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.